Hello everyone, this is going to be a tutorial for the Hoya method for big cubes. Most people use it for 4x4. I personally use it for 4x4 through 7x7. I think it's a great method. It's a lot less restrictive with the owl when you're building your cross edges, and some people find it more beneficial for them. I think it's a great method personally. So I'm just going to go ahead and scramble up this 4x4. The way Hoya works is you start by building two opposite centers from each other, and then you make your cross center, and then you go into your cross edges with wide R, U, and wide L moves. So you get a lot of freedom there. It's kind of like ZZ in a way when you're doing cross edges. But looking at this first scramble, personally I like to start with orange and red centers, but you kind of just build your first two centers similar to how you would on any other 4x4 method. So there's orange and red I would do next. And then, so there's your two opposite centers. They can be any opposite ones. Occasionally I'll do blue and green, but as long as they're opposite and you keep your color order correct, that's all that matters. Just remember it's bogey with one on top. So, going on to white center, I'm going to go ahead and build this. So there's white center and the two opposite ones. So this is a pretty easy part of the method. The next step is you're going to build your back center, which in this case is going to be blue. If I hold red on the left, which is what I would normally do, just remember white on bottom, red on the left, blue at the back in most cases. So you're going to go ahead and build your blue center without breaking the other three that you have already. And that'll leave you with just your cross edges and your other two centers left. So the way you're going to do your cross edges is you just look for any white piece and you just try to solve them on the bottom. So this, I can see, I can just move that edge, the orange one, down, which is an R prime. This red one, I can solve with a D, F, to solve it where red would go. And then I can also move this green white down with an R prime. And then I can see my other orange white edge is here. And the way this method works is when you're doing your cross edges, you can insert one and then you solve the other one by using wide L, wide R, and U moves. So this case, the way I would insert this piece to be down here is just wide L prime, U2, L, and then insert the piece after setting it up like that. And that'll solve your orange cross edge. So moving on, I'm going to do blue next. You can see I can just move this blue edge down where blue would go at the back because it's next to orange, like so. And then I'll move it to the front. And this next piece, this blue white, can just be inserted like so with a simple insert. And you get a lot of freedom with this method. You can really solve it however you like, as long as you're not breaking your bottom center, your two opposite ones, or your one at the back. And then this next case, I can see this red one and this red piece here. So I'm going to move red to the front. I'll take this out and then I'll just insert this edge into the bottom. And there's my red cross edge. And the last piece is back there. So I'll move green to the front again, take this out, and then insert it. So that's how you do Hoya cross edges, and I'll do a few more examples later in the video if you're interested. But for now, I'm just going to move on to your last two centers. So the way this works is you just turn the front face and you move this edge out of the way with an L. I like to do the L personally because it means you can do wide L moves too without having to worry about breaking this edge. Some people like to just do moving it out of the way like that, but then you have to use slice moves, and I personally feel like I have more freedom if I move it to the bottom with an L. So then you just solve your last two centers normally. In this case, I'm just going to insert that piece into the top and then cancel into inserting this piece into the top. And you just remember yellow is on top since it's opposite white. And then after you have those two, you just bring the green white edge back up and then insert it back into the bottom layer like that. So the rest of a Hoya solve would go pretty standard. It's just 3-2-3 edge pairing onto 3x3 stage. After this, if you're watching this video, chances are either A, you're trying to learn a speed solving method and have been struggling with Yao, so you want to learn Hoya, or B, you're just interested in the method and you probably already know 3-2-3 edge pairing. I'll still go over it and try to explain it to the best of my ability, and I'll do an example here. So basically, I have this solved edge. You normally wouldn't have this, but I'll insert that. And the way 3-2-3 works is you slice with a U prime, and you look at whatever edge was here, and you insert the corresponding edge into the bottom so that when you slice back, it'll be solved like that. So say I didn't have this edge solved, I would see this, I would slice, insert this edge, and then I could slice back and it'd be solved. But instead of slicing back, you're going to do that for 2 more edges. So if I look around, I'm trying to find this green-red edge to go underneath this when I slice back. So in this case, I can just do a flip alg like so, and then it'll be solved when I slice back. And you're going to do this one more time. In this case, these 2 edges will already be solved when I slice back. And that gives you 3 edges like so. From that point on, you do the similar thing. This edge, I can see the corresponding one here, insert it into the bottom, and then slice with a U prime. I think I may have said U prime earlier, it was meant to be U, apologies for that, but this time it's a U prime. And then when you slice back, you're looking for the edge that corresponds to this one for when you slice back. So in this case, it's this blue-yellow edge. I can just insert that and then do a U wide. And then that just leaves me with 2 more edges. And you can have different cases for this, but in this case, it's just a slice into a 2 flip, like so. And then you're just on 3x3 stage, which is the same as any other way you would do 4x4. So I'm going to do a few Hoya example solves, if that helps, and I'll try to get some more cases for your cross edges to helpfully explain what I would do in those situations better. And you can find plenty of Hoya example solves online. I'll probably do a few in this video, but you can find plenty. I'm not the best Hoya solver. I'm probably around just barely sub 40, but you can get to pretty great speeds with this. I know Ray Bai averages low 20 using Hoya, and he's a very fast 4x4 solver, as you can see. But for this, I would just do my orange center first by pairing those 2 bars, and then solving orange with just an insert. And then this next red center, I would probably just make this bar like that, insert it from the back, and then insert that piece, and then insert that piece. That wasn't a great solution, but that's what I would probably do. And then white, I can just do that to solve white. And moving on to blue, which is the back center if you hold red on the left, which if you were to do orange, it would be green at the back. I try to keep it pretty consistent so that I don't confuse myself too much, but I'll do blue like this, bring that piece up, bring that bar up, and then it's solved. So this is the part that I'm mainly doing the example solves for. This is where you get to your cross edges again. I'm just going to insert this with an R prime F while also bringing that piece up, and then I'll do D, and then I'll insert the red piece with the other red piece that's already there. And then I'll move this back, and you can see I have this case where it's facing up again, and I could just insert it with like a U2 and then an R prime like that, but I'm going to show another way you can do this, which I will use sometimes. If you have it like further back like this, you can just do RU R prime and then insert it, so like that. Whereas normally the normal solution would just be like R wide, U2 prime, R prime, and then insert. Sometimes it helps to have the alternative solution where you can just insert to change the orientation and then insert again to solve it. So moving on, I'm going to work on the blue-white cross edge because it's a better case than the orange-white. And the way I'll do this is I can see one of my edges is there, and another one is here. So I'll do D prime R to put that where it would go, F2 to move that into the top, D prime, and then insert with just R, U prime, R prime, like so. And then moving on, I would do simultaneously a D and a U to move that back, and then insert that piece down there, like so. And then just take this piece out of the back, like so. And then in this case, I would probably just do the like U2 kind of insert, like this. So just like L wide prime, U2, L, and then just insert it. And then realign your cross, and then you're on to the last two centers again. This case is just going to be move the edge out of the way, and then just cancel into swapping those two centers. And then you're just back to 3-2-3 again. Okay, so I'll do one more Hoya example solve. And in this case, what I'll do is I'll just insert this orange piece into the top like that, and then insert the other last orange piece like that. Just pretty basic 4x4 center solving. And then I would move this into the top opposite from orange, and then insert that edge, and then just insert these two pieces like that. And moving on to white, I would probably just do an R2 prime to put that there, and then a U prime, and then insert that. And then blue goes here, so I'll go from this angle so that red's on the left. And the way I would do this is just D and move that blue piece up, and then an F prime, and then solve those two bars. And next, I'm going to start on my cross edges again. This is the main part to pay attention to probably. I'll move this down into the bottom, and I kind of skipped this piece, but I can also move its corresponding piece up into the top by bringing down this red-white piece. And then I'll do a D prime so that I can insert this piece with that one. And since it's already at that angle, I'll do what I mentioned earlier, and I'll just do the RU R prime and then insert it, because it's already in that position where that would be easier. And then this is another case that is pretty useful to use sometimes. If I'm working on red next at the front, here's the corresponding piece. I could do a U2 prime insert, and that's not bad at all. That's what I would do sometimes. But in this case, with this orientation, it's only a single U move away from being where I could just do a wide, like U2 insert. So if I have it here, I can do U, L wide prime, and then U2, L. And then that solves that piece. So the next thing I'm going to do is blue, white, and you can see this is already in position kind of, where I can just move it up with a L prime into its slot, and then again I'll just do a D to move it to the front. In this case, I'll probably just do U, and then move that up, U2 prime, R prime, insert, like so. In the last piece here, I would just do D2 to move green to the front, and then this edge is in the back, so just bring it out, and then probably just R, U2 prime, R prime, U, insert again. And then, of course, last two centers, one more time, just F, L, U prime, solve that bar, and then solve that, and then move your cross edge back into place. And then you're done with your centers and your cross edges. So I hope this helped to explain the Hoya method a bit more. I personally think it's a very nice method to use for big cubes. Most people only like to use it for 4x4 and 5x5. Some would argue that it gets worse the bigger the cube. I personally think it's okay to use all the way through 7x7. If you get good enough at recognizing your cross edges, it's a pretty good method, and you can get comparable times to Yao depending on how much you practice Hoya. So I hope this helped you if you were trying to understand more about Hoya. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I might post some more Hoya example solves in the future, but I'll see you guys in the next one.